Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and on this week something a little bit different. Now whilst I've reviewed my BMW i3 before, I thought I'd do just an update to it with probably about a year and a half or so left to go on the loan, and looking for the next car and see what that would be. I'll just give some impressions and thoughts. I've had the car for almost 3 years now, or just over 3 years, and I thought I'd do something a little different with a point of view review. Now I've seen this on a couple of other channels. I thought I'd give it a go, knowing that I've got my Insta360 camera. Let me know what you think. You know, is it a better way of doing it? Is it just a different way of doing it? You know, like it, hate it, all that sort of good stuff. I'm driving at the moment, hands-free, as you can see. It's a BMW i3 2017 94 amp hour battery electric car. It's now done about 45,000 miles. I bought the car 1 year old in 2018, and it had 2,000 miles on the clock. So I put approximately 43,000 miles in the space of 3 years. Now, bearing in mind last year there wasn't a huge amount of driving done, so really you can say the majority of that was done in 2 years. And it's noted that if you're a viewer of the channel, you'll know that I do not have home charging. So apart from the odd bit of work charging, everything is public charging completely in that time. So what do I think? Now let's start with the looks. The outside of the car that you would have seen in my previous video, I still love. I think it was innovative then when it came out, and I believe it the same stands now. The car has got a unique look. It definitely has a Marmite kind of look. Some people love it, some people hate it. Me personally, I like it because it's different, it's quirky. It's not your standard car, you know, it's not the standard look. The chassis is largely carbon fiber. There is no central pillars, which means you have ample room. As you can see around the cabin, there's, you know, it's minimal sort of look still holds up, I think. Being that this particular model had the larger screen and entertainment screen, and obviously you have the screen in front for where you get all your kind of speed, mileage, percentage of battery, regen, and then on there you have maps, music, and all the other sort of good stuff. Glove box isn't particularly big, but you know, it's not really too bad. There's plenty of storage elsewhere. Cup holders down here, USB chargers down here as well, and a few sort of buttons for those that like that sort of stuff still. Steering wheel feels good. It still feels to me like a little go-kart type car. It's really nippy. Now with the model that I've got, the 2017, you had the standard sort of thin tyres, which there's about 4 or 5 makes of tyre you can get now. When I first bought it there was only 2, so that has expanded. And then obviously with the i3S they've got fatter tyres, lower suspension. So I think if I was to choose an i3 now, it would probably be the S, just because of some of those changes, slightly about 20 mile more range, so it wasn't a huge amount of difference in terms of better range and things like that. But overall, the drive and the feel and the nippiness of this car is particularly good. 0 to 60 I think is about 5 or 6 seconds. It's more than what you need for a car of this size. It's got you know, a decent amount of speed when you need it, for overtaking and you know, pulling out onto motorways and things like that. But other than that, you know, I think it's particularly good. You know, the car hasn't lost its charm in the time that I've had it, and everyone that I know that does own an i3 just loves the car. And in fact, I was talking to a chap at our Hearts EV meet who's had his i3 for about 3 or 4 years. He's looking for a next car, but he loves the i3 so much that he's not sure which car to go for next. Now, there is some downsides to the i3. You know, 3 years on, it's not got the biggest range in the world. That's not to say that it's lost battery percentage or anything like that. It hasn't. I had it serviced recently at home from Cleveland Motors. Big shout out to them. Fantastic service. Service was £120. Done all the pollen filters and changes and things like that. Brakes are the same brakes since it was new. They're barely used because of the regen braking, and the quality of the car and the how the car is. The comments were, it's practically new. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. But in terms of the range, summer weather like this at the moment, you know, we're experiencing over sort of 16, 17 degrees, I'd probably get about, I guaranteed 120 miles, which is pretty good. In the winter, that can drop between 90 to 100, so it's not a massive drop, but you need to account for that if you're going to buy a car like this. And there's obviously, you know, there's longer range cars out there now for a similar sort of price. It does use CCS 50 kilowatt charging, and for DC, and that's still more than enough. You're looking at 30 to 40 minutes to an 80% charge. And generally, if you're putting them on the higher spec chargers and you've got, you know, let's say 20% in there, you will get the most of that out of there. So it does obviously taper off after 80%. But all in all, I think this car is still fantastic. I would recommend it to anyone going into EVs for the first time. If you're doing longer distances, maybe not so much, although, you know, I've proved it time and time again that it is possible in a car like this. But other than that, I think it's fantastic. Now, when I bought this, it was a year old, and I got it for £23,000. If this was new, that would be close to 40. So I would suggest looking at the second-hand market for i3s. There's plenty out there of good deals. Generally, the only thing to look at is battery and brakes. There's not really much else to look around there. Everything else will be fine. The bodywork and stuff like that should be fine. But anyway, that's my thoughts after 3 years and 45,000 miles in a BMW i3 2017. Be sure to check the other videos out around my i3. I've got a playlist for that, which I'll link above. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. See you again very soon. Bye bye.